Hey, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming to the show. This is called the Faheem Ahmed Show, and this is the first format show. We did something earlier related to healthcare. Because of this whole COVID thing, I wanted to throw some spotlight on what's happening, what's potentially going to happen. So let me quickly introduce my panelists. Before the panelists, I just want to share with you the format. So what we will do is we will hear quick thoughts from the panelists, and then I have some bunch of questions in my mind that I've taken from many of you, and I will pose those questions to the panelists. And once that is done, we will open the floor and get your questions. Please restrict your questions to how we will buy. And also there is an option to raise hand. Just raise your hand so that I'm able to identify, because there are at least going to be 70, 80 people showing up. And once you raise your hand, I will unmute you, and then you can ask the question directly to the panelist. Let me introduce you to the panelists. From Ramki Wavoo Developers, we have Mr. Habib. Habib is also the former president of CREDAI. That's number one. And two, he's the Director General of an organization called United Economic Forum. Now, I know Habib for his leadership in the real estate space. And the one other thing that people don't know about him, maybe that's something that he can throw a light on. He has been a very, very staunch, if I may call, like an environmentalist, right? He's really all about go green and all of that. So I would love to hear his thoughts about go green. That's Habib for you. That's one. The second person, a great friend. We know probably each other for about 25 years or so. We have Suhail Sattar from the brand Basics that many of us love. And congratulations, Suhail. You are in the 30th year, 2020. I wish you all the best. So we have Suhail Sattar from Basics. Then we have an author, motivational speaker, as well as a mall owner, Grand Square Mall in Velichery, Zarook Shah. And I'm really looking forward to listening to Zarook's thoughts. And he's a prolific writer as well as a speaker in terms of talking about confidence, motivation, and so on and so forth. And then we have the youngest panelist, maybe the youngest attendee also in the webinar. Sai, you're what, like 25 years old? 21?
Right, 25.
Okay, so Sai Krishna, although he's young, he's got a very, very responsible pair of shoulders. He is one of the directors of FPL Hyundai. They have 4 showrooms. I wanted to get his perspective on automotive, cars, our habits, what can happen, all of those things. So Sai is an engineer from Anna University. He's also done an MS in entrepreneurship from University of Southern California in Los Angeles. He worked in the US for some time before he came back and now started working for FPL Hyundai. So thanks so much for coming, Sai. And then my dear friend, we have Abhishek Shah. Abhishek, many of you, there's a very good chance if you're in Chennai, you all have seen his work. Abhishek runs a very popular creative agency called Be Positive 2024. He's always in the back, behind the scenes kind of a person. He's also a life coach, strategist, and a business consultant. And so we'll definitely, I'm really looking forward to hearing from him in terms of how do we position the branding, communication, so on and so forth in a post-COVID era. And then it's me. A few of you know me. I'm a digital marketer. I run an agency called BYT Digital. And so that's about me. So let's get started. If everybody is ready, let me hear it from Habib starting. So Habib, if you're ready, let's hear from you what your thoughts are. Your 2 minutes now. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you all for having me here. This January, we never thought the corona will reach our shows. Certainly, all businesses are going to take a hit, including real estate. It's not an exception because it's a luxury item. But do not forget, home is also a basic necessity. But to me, I think we are in the middle of World War III. That's what I would say. It has to end. I mean, the curve has to flatten, and after the dust settles, probably we will have to assess what is happening. So, which means 2020 is virtually gone. So now, staying afloat is the mantra. Now, in real estate, we have seen in the past so much roller coaster. Right from tsunami, we've seen cyclones, floods. Leadership crisis in here, and we have we have all come through very successfully. But definitely, there's still the tough guys, the tough companies will definitely survive, and real estate players like us are resilient, and then we will definitely fight through it. What happens to the customers? They will definitely going to be on a wait and watch mode. The going to be media is going to have talk negative. But I'm saying that they have to be responsible, because real estate is going to be one of the most important business. We are the second largest employer, and 300 business depending on us. We contribute 7 to 10% of the country's GDP. So definitely, I think they have to be responsible, because not many going to hit. There are somebody who's having more stocks will have a hit, but I think already the price is low. So it's going to stay, and we've been asking government for more stimulus, and I think definitely the money there with people with the bank. When the consumption picks up, it should be better.
I'll circle back with some of the questions that I have curated. So, Suhail, can we have you if you're ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Please go ahead. Let's hear your thoughts.
So, the exact question, Faheem, tell me again.
What's your thoughts on currently what's happening and your outlook for the future in a couple of minutes, please?
The truth here is that this is a black swan event. I don't think you could have predicted this in our wildest dreams. So you also have to understand that all of us have to understand that there's going to be a lot of pain, right? I think primarily all of us right now, I think thinking very long term is going to be detrimental to our mental health. First things first is to ensure that we stay liquid. We have enough liquidity to see the worst, right? We have piles of inventory ourselves, right? We're in the fashion business. This is the first time in my life, in our lives, that we have not sold a single shirt or trouser for 30 days in a row. Today's the 23rd. I think it's 30 days today, or probably more, that we haven't sold a single piece of apparel. Now you can imagine the strain on us. I mean, you're sitting at home, and now suddenly sitting at home for 30 days you would have, in a joke or something, you would have said, yeah, if I sit at home for 30 days, I'll go mad. But all of us are sane. We're all sitting at home, we're all adapting. So to take a leaf out of that book, I'm saying we'll adapt, we'll find ways, but I don't think we should get very anxious about the future. We'll have to take it one day at a time. All of us are in the same boat. Better cash reserves, right? Oh. We need to have an emergency cash reserve, because we never thought we'll see a day like this. But now that we've seen days like this, we have to make sure that we don't get caught unawares like this ever again. And I don't think this is the first time, this is the last time something like this is ever going to happen in the world. As far as the business goes, we're ensuring that our people are safe. We're ensuring that we're communicating to them.
Right. So a quick summary would be, nobody can plan too long term, number one. Two, don't stress.
No, usually you're used to preparing long term, but at a time like this,
you can't. Absolutely.
You can't.
Got it. Great. Thank you so much, Suhail. Zarook, can we have you, please? Go ahead.
Thank you, Faheem. As you said, the whole thing is about positivity. How I see this event is two negatives make a positive. So Corona itself, what you're facing now is one negative, and our future uncertainty is another negative. Put two negatives together, it is going to be a positive outcome. Take the first case of the Spanish flu in 1918. 500 million people got infected in India, about 15 million people died, including Gandhi was infected. Okay. Number two, after World War II, Japan was completely devastated. It was destroyed. But Japan grew as the second biggest economy in the world after the World War II. They were resilient, and then they hard worked after that. And last but not the least, you take the case of India. India is not the superpower now. If not, we didn't have the economic crisis of 1991. That's when India actually propelled. India actually could use this opportunity to become a great power. I think we'll shine better. Though we might be in a bad situation right now, I always say, something bad is happening right now for a better good. That I've experienced a lot in my journey as an entrepreneur. And I think we'll come out positive, really. Yeah, that's my take on it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Zarook. So in a nutshell, even though we'll go through hardships in the short term and the long term, you think the India story is going to be fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Now let me have Sai Krishna of FPL Hyundai. Sai runs 4 car dealership, and he's quite a mind when it comes to the automotive world. So let's hear from Sai. Go ahead,
Thanks,
Sai.
Faheem. So hi everyone, Sai Krishna Shekhar here. As Faheem said, I'm representing the automobile space. So we have Hyundai and MG with the dealerships, and we are in Chennai. We operate with 6 locations for Hyundai and MG. And I think to start this webinar, I feel I would like to start it with an analogy. Maybe let's take a costly premium car. Maybe it could be a Rolls Royce or whatever car you people like. So that car is really nice. It's beautiful. It runs well and it's very luxurious. But if you take the oil out of the system, the car just crashes. So that's what is happening now to all the businesses. So the oil, I would say, is the vaccine. And without a vaccine, yes, the businesses are getting tightened and it's a difficult time. But staying optimistic and planning ahead for the future is what we have been doing in our company. So what we do is we have created various scenarios wherein if the lockdown is opening on May 4th, or if it is getting extended to May 15th, or maybe June 1st. So we have created various scenarios and we have created a plan for the next year. It is difficult to plan for long term during a downturn, but to combat this, what we have done is create various scenarios so that we know what we have to do if this happens. And I think India will emerge out very well from this crisis, because China, if you see, I would like to speak from the automobile space. So Wuhan, the epicenter of this outbreak, had a massive car sale in April. They said they have not seen such a car sale, and it was basically because of the pent-up demand, because all the people were locked down for like 3 months, and they wanted to go out, they wanted to like appreciate the nature, and people are going to go back to the normal self. That is, the world is not going to end after this. And a lot of I feel in this year, a lot of like top companies in the tech space and in maybe the retail or other spaces would emerge up. As I always feel that during a downturn or during a recession, that's when like top companies emerge out.
Really appreciate that. So let's hear it now from Abhishek Shah of Be Positive 24. So your thoughts, Abhishek.
Faheem, hi, good evening. Essentially, I think there are 2 people who can be part of this crisis: the victims and the heroes. And now you have to decide whether you want to be a victim or whether you want to be a hero. Because I'm personally not sure if we're all in the same boat. We're in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat. Some of us are on rafts, some of us are on luxury yachts. And I feel bad for the ones who are stuck on the cruise liners. But that apart, I think it's a choice that each of us has to make as an individual, not just as an entrepreneur, but as a professional, as a citizen. Are we going to be wallowing in self-pity, worrying ourselves to death, or are we going to sit down and take stock? So for all of you who are sitting and watching this webinar, trust me, you're part of the privileged part. You're sitting and actually upgrading and sharing your knowledge. So you shouldn't really be feeling that bad. I think this is a great time to take out that sheet and do a SWOT analysis of who you are as a person, who you are as a professional, and who you are as an organization. There has to be a very customized solution based on your business. I think you should just get to know your business and your audience more than ever before. I would treat this like a heart attack. I think we've been living a very sloppy life. And most of us, after a heart attack, suddenly realize the value of life. We start eating healthy, we start working out, we start balancing out life, our prioritizations. I think this is a heart attack that nature has bestowed upon all of us. And I'm sure from here, it's only going to be healthy days.
Thank you so much, Abhishek, for your thoughts. Now, I wanted to start, I curated a bunch of questions. I thought, let me go ahead and ask a few questions. Thank you. So, Sai, I have a very hopeful question for you, right? So, with social distancing, do you think cab sharing is going to reduce and people are going to start buying cars again? What do you think?
Yes, I think as every one of us here in the webinars these days, the new normal is going to hit the auto retail industry. If you see for the past 70 years or maybe 150 years, the auto retail segment has remained the same. That is, people walk into the showroom, they see the car, what they like, and then they purchase it from a dealer. But I feel maybe going ahead 5 or 10 years, technology could play a major role in auto retail. And I think maybe augmented reality and virtual reality could come into this space. Think of a virtual reality headset. You just wear that, you go around and look around the car just from your home, and you go online and you just click one thing and you can purchase the car. It comes to your showroom. And already a company named Carvana.com in the US has started doing this. So just a customer goes online and he clicks the car he needs, he defines the specs, and the car gets delivered to his home space. And if he doesn't like it, he can return back the car in 7 days. So I think maybe 10 years, I think it's a long time, but in 10 years time, like augmented reality, virtual reality, along with the internet space, it's going to change the future of auto retail. And coming back to your question, I feel I'm a believer of Uber and the Ola mobility, shared mobility system, because I think that's a game changer for the way people used to travel. So I feel in this year, yes, it could be bad because people do fear about traveling in someone else's car. But I think the future is going to be the shared mobility space, and Uber and Ola is going to thrive, and all other maybe auto retailers have to thrive along with that.
Thank you. So what you're saying is, in the short term, you could automotive dealers, your manufacturers could stand to benefit out of this crisis. Great. Thank you so much. Abhishek, now over to you.
See, in Tamil parlance, right? Whenever there's a crisis, there's one word which is first verified.
Okay.
And that is branding and marketing. But that said, you'll be very surprised if I told you that global research across the world, and time and again, has suggested that over 85% of your customers actually want you to reach out to them during a crisis. Ask yourself a simple question as a consumer. Will you buy a home from a reputed developer? Will you buy a home from a developer whom you don't know about? Will you buy a car from a brand that you trust? Or will you just go buy any car because it's coming to you a few thousands cheap? Will you go to a mall that you believe has the best standards and always has a good brand about it? Or will you just take a risk and say, "Parvala, enga ponalum parvala"? No. I think branding now is more relevant and more powerful than ever.
Talk about a further drop in real estate prices. Let's hear it from you. Do you think prices are going to crash?
Crash, my God.
That's what people are expecting.
So we already working on a very thin margin. Okay, see, it is like, the important component of an real estate is the land. The land is not gone down anywhere. I mean, typically in our in our country, because the bankers don't fund the lands, so there is no pressure on the landowners to sell. So it is there today. If they've seen, for example, say Ananagar, they've already sold at 4.5 crores per ground, and somebody is saying no, after COVID everything gone, give me a 3 crores. Nobody's going to give. But I don't think it is going to crash. There's nothing left in the real estate. Here already we're working on a 10-12% margin. Now it has actually come down to a single digit. There are as we speak, you will be surprised that we've just sold an apartment today.
Over to you, Suhail. Tell us, as a fashion brand, I know as the chairman of Chennai Retail Summit and Retailers Association of India for South, I know that you do plenty of work with the retail. So your thoughts on how Basics is poised for post-COVID era?
So in terms of growth, Faheem, I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
In terms of growth, don't forget that we will start this financial year with at least 45 days of no sale.
Right.
Right. So there's approximately between 10 and 12% of your annual sale. In terms of business, I think that we all have to ensure that our business plans, because everything is about liquidity, you have to forward project employees, you have to forward project budgets, bonuses. You have to make your business plans to map your entire cash flow, right? And I think that taking this year being conservative in your business plan.
Got it. Got it. Thank you so much, Suhail. So being conservative, preserve cash. That's one of the things that
cash is going to be king.
How do you think people will start trusting malls again? I would like to hear specifically from your side. You've been listening to a whole lot of conversations within your industry in terms of how you will open back again. So talk to us a little bit more, because almost everybody here, maybe everybody is not into buying a car, but almost every one of us wants to go back to the mall because it is a habit. So tell us how you think malls will come back to normalcy over a period of time.
At this situation, at this current mindset, people will have a fear psychosis going to a crowded place, and then mall is one of hotspots, I would say. And a lot of big brands which are inside any mall will follow SOPs, even if it's done. If it's tested by the government or by themselves, they will be following, ensuring social distancing. As far as safety and SOPs are concerned, mall will have to adhere.
So, Sai, in terms of social distancing, employees, you also have service stations, so on and so forth. How do you see yourself coming back to normalcy, and what should people expect in terms of service, in terms of new car sales, the experience with automotive dealer, not just your dealership, but across the country? What are your thoughts on that? How do you get back to normalcy?
That's a very good question. So if you see for a dealer, it's primarily two businesses. There is two verticals. There is one is a sales vertical and a service vertical. I feel the service industry is going to come back to the normal self, because service I feel is an essential business rather than a luxury. So whatever is a luxury, people are going to avoid that. But if you have a car, you have to service your vehicle. Okay, so if it has a repair, or if it has maybe some type of dents or scratches, you have to go to a workshop to get it done, or you're going to have a trouble running your car. So I feel the service industry is going to come back to its normal self. But compared to the last year, as Suhail was saying, we have already lost 45 days, and we don't know when the lockdown is going to get over as well. So compared to last year, the growth rate is going to be like, I feel 10 to 15% loss in the service industry. But in terms of sales, I feel moreover the sales, people will start buying pre-owned vehicles, that is the used cars, because whoever has a budget, maybe 5 lakhs, they would like to preserve their cash, and whoever has a need to buy a car, they like to tend to go to a pre-owned vehicle, so that they save some money, and also the purpose of having a car is satisfied. And looking at the numbers, I feel maybe 20%, 15 to 20% again could be a drop in the sales industry. But I feel our sales industry has already been down for like maybe 1.5 years, starting December of 2018. So it has already reached the rock bottom. And I feel businesses always have a sine curve. That is, whenever things go down, it has to go up. And I feel maybe Q4 of the calendar year is starting to go up, and 2021, as IMF has predicted, India and China is going to be doing very good compared to the Western countries.
Fantastic. So a very hopeful outlook, Sai. Really appreciate that. Thanks for that. I actually had one more question for each one of you, but there's a good chance those questions are going to come from our participants. How long do you think it will take to completely come out of COVID social distancing? Any particular panelist wants to answer this?
So I'll answer that. I think if you look at the coronavirus, it is similar to other viruses which has happened, the SARS, the MERS. And getting a vaccine for a virus, the usual lead time is about a decade, that is 10 years.
Okay.
But with science advances and technology in such an advance, I think maybe it could take 1 year, that is December 31st or maybe Jan of 2020 was when coronavirus hit. So I feel till next Jan of 2021, this social distancing norm is going to happen, and people have to practice the social distancing and other things to cope up with this, because maybe last December or maybe next Jan is when the vaccine would come to the masses.
So there is Nitin Raj all the way from Madurai. He runs a fashion brand. Maybe I can direct this to Suhail. How long do you think people would want to wear a mask? 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, or will that be a permanent market? Because Suhail, you want to keep that in mind, that he's probably seeing an opportunity in selling masks, the cloth masks.
So I think that's a very good question. How long is, I think it's two parts. One is, of course, a lot of us are now worried about air quality as yet, but we've never really tried wearing a mask. A lot of us are all, so I think this is going to be a new normal itself, that, you know, when you get a little worried about air quality, you wear a mask, because now you've broken comfort into it. You know, comfort has happened on wearing a mask. All of us go, I had never worn a mask in my life before. Now, every time I leave the house, I wear a mask. A mask, I think, will become an addition in your wardrobe. That's one. Second, as far as how long we wear the mask, honestly, it's anybody's guess. You know, I wouldn't know. I'm hoping that what Sai said about the vaccine comes true and we can get rid of the mask. But I don't think that we will be able to stop wearing the mask till the vaccine is discovered and distributed. Do not forget that the vaccine has to be distributed for 700 crore people in this world.
Sai, his question is MaaS, MaaS, mobility as a service. Do you think there are patterns here that will allow for people to move into a subscription model for their cars, so on and so forth? That was his question.
Okay, so that is a very good question. And the subscription model has already been started in India. And like Hyundai, Tata has partnered up with Rev, a company, REVV. So Rev provides subscription-based car rental services. So you just go to their website and subscribe for maybe 1 month, 6 months, and 12 months. But I think India is a very big country. So it's going to happen batch wise. That is, it could happen in like big cities where the millennials and Gen Z population is there. Could be Bangalore, Mumbai. I feel Chennai, it's still new for the subscription model to grow. But I think maybe 3 to 4 years from now, the subscription model of owning a car for just 6 months and then changing it to another car is going to happen. Just see, if you own one car for 6 months, I usually get bored of my car, whichever I own for 1 year. So I just want to change it. If it's a subscription model, I can easily do a subscription for 1 year, use that car, then go to a different make or a different model, different color. I think that is going to for sure happen in the future.
All right, Vishal, I've unmuted you. Can you please go ahead and ask that question to Suhail?
Yeah, hi. To the panel, I mean, anybody can answer this. So I just wanted to understand if for the next 6 months or to 1 year, how assisted e-commerce will play a crucial role post-COVID.
A fantastic point, Vishal, but we'll have to define assisted e-commerce itself. We'll have to put that box first. We'll have to create that box. It's a great idea. I think that honestly, it'll survive. It'll help retail. It'll help offline retail survive to some extent. WhatsApp commerce, you know, or local commerce, they call it. I think these are all solutions in the short term that will help us ensure that some amount of social distancing is maintained and some amount of hygiene, sanitization standards. And if people are worried to leave their homes, I think it'll emerge. We'll just have to create proper models and, like I said, proper SOPs. We need technology for it. And I don't know who's going to get off the block first, but it requires a fair amount of investment in tech.
How do we keep the team motivated when the things that are going on in my team's mind is job loss, salary cut, poor sales? Sai, over to you. very briefly, please. Go ahead.
So I think to add on from the points told by other panelists, I think the major thing employees fear is, I think it's fear. Whatever, like everyone who's over there, they have a fear, and we have to break that out. That is, we have started speaking to each and every employee. Like technology has been through Zoom, WhatsApp calls, and constant and transparent communication of what their fear is, and getting to know that helps it. So that's what we have been doing. So we did surveys to know how their health is, how their family's health is, and caring for the employees is a big motivation, and that's what they require right now.
Thank you so much, everyone. Really, it was fantastic having each one of you and all my friends on Facebook. Thank you so much for staying all the way.
Fine, great job on your moderation, Faheem. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Faheem.
Thank each one of you for part of this. Thank you so much. All right. See you guys. You take care. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.